Okay, so today we are going to be talking about time travel. I want to do more videos where I pick a specific trope and just kind of chat about it more. I don't know what they'll look like, but I do know what this one will look like. It's mostly just a chit chat talking about my experiences with it and what's working and not working for me, because time travel is a trope that I have always said I don't really like, but as of recent, I've been reading a lot more time travel books, and some of them I've really liked. So I want to talk about early experiences with time travel, how they have not worked for me, and then because there's a lot of different things you can do with time travel, and there's a lot of different ways time travel can affect the story. Is it just a fun tool that's being used that gets us to different places so that we can accomplish other things? Or is it like you step on a butterfly, you ruin the world? And there's a lot of in between. And some of it I hate, but some of it I really like. But before we get into all the timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly talk, a sponsored unboxing. So Book of the Month is a subscription that helps people to discover the best new release, early release, and debut adult fiction novels. They offer 5 new release books every month, and members get to pick one to be shipped to their home, or if they want more, in addition to one of their featured boxes, members can add up to 2 featured books, trending books, or previous books as add-ons to their monthly purchase. And members can skip a month anytime they want with no penalty. So the books for May are How Lucky, being the sole witness to a crime proves complicated in this funny, heartwarming story of a hero hiding in plain sight. Ariadne, bringing myth to life, this reimagined story of Princess Crete is a riveting tale of love and betrayal. The Last Thing He Told Me, the propulsive story of a new wife and stepmother who must unravel the mystery left behind when her husband disappears. Imposter Syndrome, Big Brother turns out to be the big sister in this piercing take on Silicon Valley and misogyny that keeps it ticking. I'm interested in this one. And Things We Lost to the Water, a moving multi-generational saga about one family's attempts to weather the storms confronting them in an adopted home. Again, interested in this one. So head over to bookofthemonth.com to get your first books, and your first month is only $9.99 with a code that will be linked in the description of this video. Harry Potter Book 3. This is the one that I would say it's my first significant experience with time travel, and probably largely why I have for so long decided that I don't like it. Because this, growing up, was everybody's favorite book or favorite Harry Potter book, or at least one of their top books. And back then, it wasn't a favorite of mine, and right now, it's pretty low on my list. And so I thought, hey, I just don't like time travel. Not so. So with Harry Potter, the way time travel works, at least in the 3rd book, is it seems like time can be changed, but they're just seeing patterns of their past self and replicating them. You have the rock that hits Harry in the head that causes him to see the other versions of themselves so that he has to hide, which means that there's about 3 layers of Harry and Hermione and Ron happening just in this moment that we're even aware of. But then you also have scenes where time could have definitely been changed. I mean, time isn't fixed in this, because there's the scene where Harry almost has his soul sucked out by Dementors, and because they're waiting for the werewolf howl, they're waiting for Lupin to run off into the woods and a scene of events to happen, and then at the very last minute, right before, actually it's not Harry that's dying, it's Sirius, isn't it? It's been a minute. But anyway, Hermione finally realizes, oh, we have to be the ones that howl. So Hermione does the werewolf howl to draw Lupin out to cause the reaction of events. So, but that means that there was a Hermione before them that's already done this loop, that already did the thing. And how far back does it go? It seems like there's a never-ending continuing loop of this one scene of events, because the time travel was used at one point, but then at that one point that it was used the first time, there was no rock thrown, there was no howl. So does that mean that the first people, the first Harry and Hermione that went back in time that first time, that they made up the scene of events, and then every other Harry and Hermione that will forever perpetually be going in this loop are just repeating it? When does it stop? Does it ever stop? Is time just broken now? I don't like it. Then you have Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And the way time travel works in this one, actually, it just doesn't make any sense. Moving on. Now we have Doctor Who. So this is a time travel franchise that I have loved so hard. I have an exploding TARDIS back there. You can't really see it. It's fine. Now, I've always thought that this was the exception to the rule. I don't like time travel, but I happen to like it in Doctor Who because it's a crazy, fun story with exciting adventures, sonic screwdrivers, phone booths that get bigger on the inside. Just a really good time. And time travel is a tool to go on these exciting and crazy and thrilling adventures together and to explore different times and places and different lands, and a way to get to the adventures without it being too wibbly wobbly. Time travel was a lot more low-key in this. It wasn't so much used, it was rarely used as a major plot point in which the whole story hinged on, and it was more of a tool and a device to tell the story. And I thought it was fun. It is fun. So those are my early experiences with time travel, and that was where I thought I landed. But as I said, recently I've been exploring time travel. I've been exploring time travel books a lot more, and I've had more experiences. 11/22/63 is a book where our main character goes back in time. He goes back and forth several times, but he goes back in time trying to stop the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So the way time travel works in this book is the idea is that the past cannot be changed. Each time he tries to change the past, he experiences extreme resistance and extreme consequences with just small actions that he takes. There are huge consequences for disrupting the pattern of time. And the concept, the idea that we're pushing back against this entire book is that the past is obdurate, or the past harmonizes with itself. A phrase that is repeated 63 times in this entire book. I know because I'm petty and I downloaded the ebook just to do a word search because it was so many. But anyway, the past is obdurate. The past can't be changed. It's stubborn. It will correct itself, or it'll fight against you trying to change it, is the concept that we're fighting against in this book. I won't say whether, I won't say where we land with that in the conclusion, but that's what we're pushing against. That's what we're fighting against in the concept that the main character has, right? So huge consequences with any change in time, but we're still trying to change time. I had pretty mixed feelings about this book, but most of the things that I ended up being mixed on were things not so much to do with time travel and more to do with just writing choices that didn't work for me, sections of the book that I felt went on way too long and stuff like that. But the time travel itself, I found pretty interesting. I didn't love it like I love Doctor Who, but I did actually enjoy it pretty well. It was well explored in this book. Then you have books like This Is How You Lose a Time War, where it's very wibbly wobbly that you're never gonna really get it explained to you. But it's two people in time leaving notes for each other, but they're always at different points in history. So they're catching up to each other. One person leaves a note here, and then by then they've gone, and by the time the other person gets here, they get the note. It's a really interesting concept. It's a very poetic book, and it's very abstract. That's a good way to describe this book. It's a very abstract book. So time travel was really interesting to me in this book because it was a tool, but not a well-explained tool. I don't know if I explained that well. Then we have Timeline by Michael Creighton. It's a group of archaeologists who are studying a dig site for a particular point in history, and then they get the opportunity to actually go back to that time and study it in person 600 years ago. But then the time machine breaks, and now they are in a very dangerous time for them, a medieval time, a brutal time. and they have no way to get back. So the major conflict, time travel is used as a tool to get them to a new location, to a new danger, to a new fear. And the main conflict is we can't get back. We have to figure out a way to get back. And I really liked the use of time travel for this. And finally, the last book I'm going to talk about in this lineup is Kindred, which is a book that I just started. I'm only 50 pages in. I've read the first 2 chapters and I'm obsessed with it. So the setup for this is we follow Donna, who is a Black woman in 1976. And suddenly, abruptly, we don't know why, she gets dizzy and then passes out kind of and ends up in 1815, and she sees a little boy drowning and she saves him, and then she's in immediate danger and she travels back, and her husband watched her disappear and now sees her back in a different area of the room, covered in water and mud and terrified. And then we do it again. And the basic setup of this book is that she can't control the time travel, and each time she goes back, she's there a little bit longer and she can't get back on her own. But it turns out that each time she's being pulled back, this boy is in danger and she's supposed to help him. And there's a connection between her and that boy, which, I'll leave for you to discover, because you should read the book. But I mean, I'm only 50 pages in, but you should read the book. But anyway, the major conflict. So time travel again is used as a tool to get us from here to here, and it's broken, kind of like timeline, in that she can't get herself back. She doesn't know how to get herself back, but she faces great danger in the place that she's going because she's a Black woman in 1815 with no free papers and no owner, and she's just on her own. So basically anyone she encounters is a potential threat. She ends up developing a rapport, a relationship with this boy, and interacting with slaves in his manor, and it's so well written. It's so well written. The confusion around time travel and her piecing it together, her trying to figure out why is this happening, what's the purpose of it, as well as the absolute fear of being stuck here and not knowing how to get back or when she can get back, or being afraid that her life is going to end before she can even really get very far into the life that she was supposed to have. Man, it's good. Okay, so time travel. What have we learned? Probably nothing. I don't know, I just wanted to discuss it because I feel like I've been through a journey with time travel, because I've been reading a lot of time travel books lately, and I'm starting to realize I really like it depending on how it's used. And I've realized that when it is something where the plot hinges on it and it gets really convoluted, I get bent up, I get caught up in all the details of it, and it drives me nuts and I hate it. But if it's used more loosely, like with Kindred and Doctor Who, and it's used as a tool to get you somewhere so that the point of the story can happen, or if it's used like in Kindred and Timeline, where it's used as a tool to add tension and fear and confusion, but it's not, every step of the way, you're not interacting with time travel and trying to make time happen a certain way and having to, that sort of thing. Like with these two, which admittedly I like the execution in 11/22/63 much more than Harry Potter, I've found that when it's more wibbly wobbly is when I like it. And when it's more heavily a part of the plot and we keep revisiting the mechanics of it is when it doesn't hit so well for me. Which is interesting. It's interesting to me that time travel can be used in so many different ways and can be used effectively. It was used very effectively in 11/22/63. I'm sorry I'm so hard on this book. Everybody loves Harry Potter so hard. I mean Harry Potter 3. Everybody loves Harry Potter 3 so hard. It was used effectively in 11/22/63. It's just not my taste as much as the wibbly wobbly time travel. So I realized in editing that I had Timeline in the timey-wimey stack, and it doesn't belong there at all. The time travel in Timeline was
the science of it and the mechanics of it was well explained. And while I did get hung up on the mechanics of it, sometimes it wasn't used as a central focus of the plot that we kept coming back to. It was used primarily to get us to a location and then to add tension because the time travel was broken. So while it shouldn't be in the timey-wimey stack, it should be in the more obdurate, not really obdurate, but in the more mechanical stack, it is still one that ended up working for me because it was used as a tool as opposed to used as the thing that the plot hinges on and that we keep revisiting in order to further the plot. I hope that makes sense. Timeline really more fits in between the two stacks, but I ended up liking it because it was used for tension and as a tool instead of used the other way. I hope that clarifies that.
Do you know what I mean? If you're not a Doctor Who fan, why, you're probably asking, why do I keep saying wibbly wobbly, timey wimey? Anyway, I'd love to continue discussing this with you in the comments. I think it's so interesting. I'm thrilled that I've found time travel that I actually really love because I feel like I can now explore a whole new genre of books that I otherwise would have avoided. Usually when I see the words time travel, I'm kind of hesitant about it, but now I just need to know what kind of travel it is and how it's used, and I actually love it. I'd love to continue discussing it with you. Do you like time travel in your books, in your movies, in your media, in your entertainment? And if so, do you like it when it's more obdurate, when it's more you're following a pattern and pushing against that pattern could have great consequences? Or do you like it when it's more loose and used as a tool to make a new scenario, a new plot, a new tension happen, or to get you to a new place? But the consequences, it's not so strict on the rules. I guess the way I'll say it, since I'm a fantasy nerd, is do you like a more, I'll use visuals, do you like a more hard time travel system or a soft time travel system? I tend to lean toward hard magic systems, even though I do have a great appreciation for soft lately. But I like soft time travel. That parallel may have actually not helped anyone in understanding what I'm rambling and screaming about. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a mess, just like I am, but I'd love to continue chatting with you about it in the comments. Check out my Patreon if you want to buddy read books with me and scream with me as we read books. We watch movies, we have events. Hang out with us. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you again soon. Bye.